All right, so one of your colored assignments I want you guys to do is to get a piece of fake fruit, or if you're at home, you can just grab a vegetable or fruit, whatever is at your house, just something very colorful. And I want you guys to be practicing working with your base colors and working with the color wheel. So I gave everybody a small piece of canvas to do this assignment, and I've already drawn out the proportions of this. And I also have the real pepper that I'm looking at here, and also a photograph of the pepper, so you guys can kind of see the angle that I'm looking at when doing this. So when starting, you want to start with your base color. So your base color is the color it is if the object were flat. So I'm going to be using this like really bright lemon yellow. I also mix a little bit of cadmium yellow in with it, just trying to match the general color as much as I possibly can with the pepper that I'm looking at. Let's see, and I drew on this with pencil, which has its disadvantages, especially with yellow. Especially when that graphite mixes in. Okay. So I'm putting down my base color. What is the color in general if you saw no highlights, no shadows, and the object was flat? Okay. And then after that, I need to be looking at my shadows and my highlights. So here are my shadows right here. Here's my highlight. And for your shadow, you're going to be mixing in your complementary color. So the opposite of yellow on the color wheel is purple. So I'm going to take a little bit of purple, little bit, and I'm mixing it in with my yellow, and it should start to darken. So I'm looking in where those dark values are. You don't want to add black while you're placing in your shadows. What black does is it just basically kills the color, in my opinion, and especially like adding black in with some yellow, what it can potentially do is turn it green. And so you want to be using those opposite colors on the color wheel to do that. So I'm coming in, putting in shadows where I see them. Also looking for those things of parts and lights and shadow, like do I see any reflected light when I look at this? Like I'm seeing a little glimmer of reflected light here where the cast shadows are. And let's see, and because this is yellow, so I'm going to add a little white to my palette here. I did a red apple earlier, and or let's see, I'll just stick with the sphere here. So here's the sphere that I painted, and the base color is red. So you use your opposite colors like green and red, mix them together, give them darker. When you want to add lighter, you add towards the color yellow. So like if I add a little bit of orange to this, you'll start to make my red lighter. And because yellow is already at the top of the color wheel, and I can't go towards more yellow than yellow, you will add a little bit of white to that yellow, which I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to start placing my highlight that I'm seeing in the pepper. I added some white in there. And you can add white also, like if I was painting a red apple, I can add white to that. But you want to do it a little bit, not much. If you add too much white into it, it's going to start looking chalky, which you don't want. Nobody wants that. Okay. Once you get those bases of highlight and shadow, I want you guys to see what other colors that you see. Not just the basics of, yellow. What other colors do you see? Like sometimes I see little hints of green in this yellow pepper, or oranges. Let's see. Expand what you see. See, I'm adding a little bit of blue to this yellow to try to get a little bit of green. I'm gonna maybe just a tad too much green. Maybe I pushed it a little too much. That's what I'm thinking. I'm also looking at the cast shadow, just how dark it is underneath that crevice shadow. I'm going to be using some violet for that. And maybe some blues. I can start placing into those cast shadows. But I chose violet because it's the opposite of yellow. But just putting in that cast shadow, especially that crevice shadow, where the object meets the table, that's going to really make it so it's not just floating in space. Okay.